Okay, so we're back to InDesign. My computer downloaded the 2022 version over the weekend somehow. No major changes. It looks like, from what I've seen, it's kind of they're gearing some things up for more UI, user interface, UX, user experience type of things. So I don't foresee any major changes from what you currently have. Nothing major. So I want to kind of continue on with last class. We worked on this a 2-page layout, and then we worked on the cover. So today we're going to do the 4-page layout, and then next class we'll do the back cover, and we'll work on master pages to add in page numbering and that type of thing. Okay, so you guys will be at that point all up to speed with pretty much everything. Like I say, I want you guys to kind of work from visual reference, and I have some here downloaded, but you want to kind of do that before you kind of get going too much. All right, so even if you just do magazine layouts or magazine layout and kind of get images, this is good stuff. Okay, again, as artists, as designers, you want to be inspired. Okay, you want to be looking at stuff that's going to kind of take you in a direction that you may or may not have thought of. So it's good to have reference from it. So just kind of go through and take some time and go through it. Again, there's some publications online. You can kind of find stuff that's more kind of abstracted with it. Oftentimes you're going to find some of these that are like kind of templates, okay, that are kind of just like there's mumbo jumbo. They're not real words in there. Or it's going to be something like this where it's just kind of black where text would go type of thing. And there's some kind of vague image. Again, just to kind of give you ideas. This is nice, right? Excuse me. We got, 2 columns of text here, and we got a little pull quote, 2 columns here with a little subhead and then imagery, and there's a caption. So it's kind of looking to see what kind of works for what you're going to be doing. And then just kind of getting that, whether you take a screenshot, you grab it, whether you're drawing these things up yourself, or you're, going through a book of reference, it's good. Okay. So magazine layout, I'm just going to put the sketching. All right, so you have these, and we've talked about these, how you can kind of draw them out. These things are all good. Okay, so just kind of getting ideas out there to figure out ways that you can put together your publications. Okay, so be inspired, get this visual reference, and you should be doing this all the time, whether you're working on something like layout or working on a poster, photographs, all that kind of stuff. So you want to look at stuff that kind of is going to inspire you, right? I mean, I look at photos all the time, not only to kind of get ideas for maybe locations or angles, things that kind of do a little bit differently, but also just to be inspired and go, hey, I like how they process that picture. I like the style, the grit, whatever it happens to be. And I'm going to bring that back into some of the work that I'm doing. Okay, so get your visual reference, whether you're designing, whether you're doing art, you need to have that. Okay, remember, Claude Monet was looking at the water lilies when he painted the water lilies. So you got to have that to do it. Okay, and to do it right. So get the visual reference, look at the stuff, collect it. And when you see stuff that you like, as an artist, as a designer, just grab it and put it in a folder. Okay, so you'll, hey, that's pretty cool. I like that. I might need that later. Make a file or a folder of inspiration to do. Now I'm digging this. This might be something nice. It's kind of simple, clean. I like the white space here. You can see this area around it where they're not filling the whole page. And many times as you start, young designers, they want to fill the whole page. And many times the clients will push you, hey, fill it up, right? There's a gap. Why not put something in there? Well, our eyes need time to process in order to read, in order to think. It's like if it gets too cluttered, you just don't know where to look. Okay, so by giving a good layout, it gives us space and time to think and process and gather it all up. And we can get and do a lot by our layouts as to directing how the eye would work. So I'm gonna actually, I like this one a lot. I'm gonna take this, put this over here. Again, I'm just grabbing stuff, right? And you can see I'm just putting it in. Now, I had this one yesterday, but I'm gonna delete that one. I'm gonna go with this today. Again, everything out here on the edges, none of that would print. Okay, so if I go to preview mode, you'll see all of that kind of disappears. Okay, it's still there, but it just would never print. So, you know, feel free to put words and text and things out there that you may or may not need. And again, you can, you know, scale these up to whatever you need to. I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna pull that in here. I just want to get it so I can see the whole thing. And you can always delete these things, okay? You know, when I'm done and I know we're good, I would go and delete these extra items just so as not to confuse the printer when I send them the files, okay? Because they'll be like, what's that stuff on the side? Okay, so get rid of it and, you know, keep the file separate from the printing one. All right. So we've got our file, we've been saving it, we're good to go. We got our cover we did, we got our other layout back down here. But I want to kind of use this as an inspiration to do this 4-page. So I'm going to keep this, and then I've got this one. It's kind of just like kind of a selection of photos. Again, it's looking at things like there's a little border on these photos, or do the pictures press up against each other so there is no white border. These are all design decisions that you want to do. You can see there is a gutter. Okay, we're here. They got the picture going down the gutter. It is okay. Her face is out of the gutter. You wouldn't want this face to be over like to the right just a little bit. Okay, that would become very awkward when the printing, and it might kind of give a misprint kind of idea. So they've got a headline, subhead, the article, they've got a pull quote here, and then there's a caption of some sort, and then there's page numbering and stuff, and we'll work on that come next class when we get to the master pages. So what we're doing here, we're just going to kind of look at it. They've got, and I've got some articles that I pulled from yesterday. It's just an article on Sequoia. So I'm going to just kind of dump this in, and they've got almost like a 3-column going on here with this. Okay, so I can either, you know, draw in another 3 columns, or I can just kind of go for it. I'm going to do that, and I know if I do this and do this, I've got basically 3 columns. I'm just going to move that over, and I've got a 3-column spread that I have. So they've got a 2-column spread, and then they've got picture over here in this 3rd column. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of just rough it out. We've got some nice white space at the bottom, so I don't want to push it all the way to the bottom. And then they've got this other article. They've dropped it down with the caption over here. I'm going to just leave it the same height because I'm not going to worry about that caption. And then I'm going to just delete this text box. And I got to come back in because I want to make sure everything is still linking up here. Okay, let me undo that because I had these linked. Not done, okay. We're just going to get rid of these text boxes over here. So again, remember that if you get the red box with the square, there's something there. There's text that continues, and you're going to want to bring it up over here. Now, again, this is not completely formatted, but there's information in here. And then we've got additional information down here for this other layout. Again, it's real text. I know there's some problems here where I've just kind of put some spaces in and that type of thing. But it is related to the photos that I will be putting in. Okay, so again, I'm not worried about it being completely accurate in the sense of the story, but what I do want to do is get real text. Okay, you know, in this case, I'm going to do an article on Sequoia, so I'm going to put in Sequoia pictures, and I want words that kind of relate to it, not dummy text or words that relate to race cars or something like that, right? So I want to kind of correspond. So when people look at these things, they're not thrown off, because trust me, people look and real quickly they'll get thrown off like, hey, wait a second, that doesn't match. Doesn't match what you're saying or what you're looking at. Okay, so I've got text, and then I've got over here 2 more columns. Okay, so I'm just, again, putting the columns in. Another column here. All right, and then it goes down a little bit more. And you can see as I'm moving things, I'm getting like little green arrows telling me they're the same height. Okay, so InDesign is very intuitive and wants to help you along as you're working. Okay, so use it to advantage. Okay, and I can bring in the text again here when we're done. I'm just kind of giving it a quick layout. And then remember, I've got a photo here. It's going to come in. That's giving the full bleed to the bottom. We're going to add that photo. And I'm thinking I want to give maybe this page a background color. So I'm going to just kind of draw in a box. And actually, I'm going to do it with the other box. It makes it easier visually. Okay. And I'm going to give it a fill color. So I can come up here to my colors and pick. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to just show you how I've picked my colors here. And then what I'm going to do is put this object to the back, send it to the back. Okay. And then what I want to do is I want to go into my layers. Remember, the layers is only for this spread. If I come down here, I get different layers. Okay, so this will be the layers for this 2-page spread. Okay, so layers only affect the spreads that you're working on, not the additional ones. So these will be different layers. So in here, I want to, well, I'll lock that background element. That way it's not bugging me. It's not gonna, I'm not gonna touch it by accident. It's just there and it's locked. If I need to unlock it, I can unlock it obviously and make changes or corrections to it. But it's there, I put that in. And if I, add a color wants to change, I can fix all of that as we go. So I want to just kind of show you how to pick up some of the colors. I know we've done that, but I'm going to unlock it while we do it. So I can select a color and mix it, right? I can double click on a color that's a swatch in there, and I can kind of mix whatever color I choose. All right, and I can get it, and it says process CMYK, and click OK, and it pops up there, right? So I can kind of make those, but sometimes you're going to want specific colors that aren't just made. You're going to want to come from things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kick the plus, okay, and I'm just going to double click on it. So here, this is the normal mode CMYK, or you'll see RGB, and you can mix up your colors. Either way, doesn't matter. If you already know the numbers, you can correspond those in. But oftentimes what we're doing in design is we're going to be using color systems, and they have a Pantone system built in, this CKS, and down here there's a Toyo. I've never used them. There are other systems that are used around the world. But what the CMY or the Pantone system is, it's a color matching system. So you'll see it called PMS or Pantone. PMS is Pantone matching system. And it's a series of colors that there's a formula for, so anybody in the world can duplicate it. So if you tell me, hey, I'm using PMS 112, I can find PMS 112 and put it in here, right? So I can do 112, and that's the 112. Okay, so we will have the exact same colors on our system. And they have coded and they have uncoded. So sometimes the numbers you'll see a little different abbreviation potentially behind them. And then here we have the Pantone colors here. So you can see 112 here is a 112, 116. It's a different color. So you got to make sure you're passing along the proper numbers that are coming with that color, not just say it's PMS 112. Okay. If you just say PMS 112, typically that's referring to the coded or uncoded. So the coded has a C, the uncoded has a U. So 112 here is the same color. The uncoded means there's no varnish. Coded means there's like a slight shine that's put onto it. Okay. And as these systems cover throughout, now the CMYK version, what that's doing is it's converting the Pantone 112 or any of these colors into what would be a CMYK, a cyan, magenta, yellow, and black color. So it can be printed on any printer, even like your inkjet printer at home, right? You'd print CMYK. So you can spec out or kind of get a color that you like, and this would print, or it should print just like this if you use a CMYK printer. Okay, so it's a kind of a way of doing it. And the reason they have is because certain colors, companies are going to have certain colors. Like there is I don't know what number it is for Twitter, but there's a blue. Let me get to the blues. And there is a color for the Twitter blue. Because everything they print or everything they do online, they want it to match the blue. They don't want it to have a different color or shade of blue. So they did it. So I'm going to Google that really. Let me just see. Okay, so here it is. And let me see if I can find out what color.
Is it possible for a company to copyright a color?
Yeah. Yeah. Again, it gets,
Okay.
well, copyright, no, but trademark, that's the difference. So you can't copyright color because color is color, but you can trademark it. So things like that Tiffany blue, and you know what I'm talking about, right? That's a trademark. Now, it's not gonna, it's only for jewelry and that area. So if I have a, I don't know, a bakery and I want to use that color, I can. Okay, because it's they have the trademark for jewelry, not for bakeries. Does that make sense? So it can get a little tricky with these famous companies. T-Mobile, right? That magenta, but it's magenta. Everybody's got magenta, but in their arena, right? Because they've used it so much that they've applied for trademarks, and it has been kind of recognized. But there's like always controversy on it as to can you or can't you. So it looks like, I'm just seeing if anything's popping up here. These are just Pantone colors, but that is, let me just see if it shows me here what this color swatch is. So here it is. The blue is 2382C. So it's a coded 2382. So if I come back here and I'm going to go to coded, oops, coded. Oh, come on. Why are you recting up here? I'm not seeing it coming up. It's in here somewhere. Again, these don't go in order. They're like got by color, so it's not necessarily by numbers. when you get a book, if you have a swatch book of these, they are in numerical color numbers too. I'm not seeing it's in it. Trust me, if they said it is, I don't know why we're not popping up here. With that, it should pop up. Maybe it's that number, maybe it's an old number. That's what it is, it's something old. Let me just go back here. 2382, same. Somebody put that in wrong. So it's a, yeah, there's something wrong on that website that said that. Anyway, there's a color and they can type it in and it should be popping up here. But these are the colors that they're using. And then you could do the RGBs also. So I have no idea why it's really not showing up. It says it's from their branding guide, but I am not sure. But if you see that code, that's what that code is referring to, is the print or the color number. Now they all oftentimes are updating these books. So what may or may not be, it can change, numbers can change and numbers definitely get added. And what you do is you click OK, it's going to bring that color in to your library. And you see this little kind of dot, that just means it's a spot color, meaning it's a Pantone color. So the printer knows that that's what that is. And again, you can tint these things also, so you don't have to have it at 100%. You can put it at 50% or something like that. Okay. Now this, it's not the same color, but it's a tint of this color. If you want that color exactly, that would be that color available in the Pantone system. Okay. So background colors are definitely cool. And then once you do it, I typically lock them. So they're there and they're not going to get in my way as I start to work. Now up here, I also have a title. I'm just going to build a box in for that. And there's a subhead and we'll see if I put that in or not. But again, I'm just looking at it as reference, right? I'm going to be changing things. Now they have a pull quote that comes in and kind of overlaps. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. We're going to just kind of, again, this is inspiration. I'm not trying to copy it. I'm just trying to get inspired by it and build things up in my own way. So they have it over here, some kind of box. Now that's the same color. So I need to give that a fill that would be seen. We'll do the white. When they call white, it's really, they call it white or they call it paper. Does that make sense for the color? Because they assume your paper is white, but it's not necessarily that. But they can't print white. Does that make sense? So to get white, they actually will be blocking that out and letting the color from the paper come through. So that's why it says paper on that. Okay, so in this case, they print the whole page orange with a cut out section that's basically it's the die cut of the letters on the film. Okay, and then this over here is printed in black. All right, so let's just get this first layout, then we'll move to the second page. Now I got to add some pictures, Command D. And I'm just going to go, I have some Sequoia photos. I've been there once or twice. So let me just find something I like. Pop in there. There, that's a pretty photo there. So it's big, obviously I can fit it, right? I can scale it, fit proportionally, fit content to frame. There's maybe a little distortion, but nothing huge there in this particular case. Now I have text that's in here and I got that from a website. Let's get this out of here. Over here on Sequoia. Okay. So again, grab articles from the internet, that's fine. I'm just going to grab it off in here again. Drop it in the type. Okay, so there. Now on this one, I know I have additional text. Bringing it over. And again, I'm just going to kind of extend that article to each one of these text columns. All right, and I even have one here. And I'm going to bring that down to here. Yeah, I think we're good. I'll just get rid of these boxes for now. So it's all about layout, but you want to kind of, again, have that inspiration, have that stuff that you're looking for. So you can kind of get it the way you want, right? And that's, we have more, but we'll figure that out. Okay, this comes forward because I want that pull quote there. So it's object, arrange, bring to front. Okay, and if I want a box around it over here on the reference, they put it in kind of a white box. I could easily do that, right? I could just kind of, I could do a box like this. And I'm going to actually give that box a fill of the orange. And it disappeared, but that's okay because I'm going to pull this forward. Object, arrange, bring to front. Okay, so now I've got this separate box back here. It kind of looks like the background got extended over, just like they're kind of doing here. They're just doing it in white. And I'm going to just kind of do some quick type treatment here. Looking at my box. Okay, so there is my little pull quote that I want in here. Again, remember you're going to want to select your typefaces. I have some that have already been preloaded here, but you're going to want to take the time and go through what you want. It's well worth the time to do that and to kind of figure that out. Okay. And again, remember we can do character styles or paragraph styles. I'm only doing this one article, so I'm not going to worry about it. But imagine if you're doing this for 20 articles. You're going to want to set your styles up, paragraph and character styles, and it's going to help speed things along. Okay, so I'm just going to select, and to select, if I select once, click once, it gives me the word. Click twice, it gives me the line. Click 3 times, it gives me the paragraph. If I click 4 times, it gives me the entire article. Okay, so in this case, they're all linked. So this is where you're going to want to give it a style sheet. Okay, your character style, or you can come back in here and select your typeface. And I can come back in. I don't want the thin. I want a semi-bold, medium. Go to medium typeface. And we're at 12 point, which is good. I've got a leading. This came up as 14.4. I could bring that to 14, or I can bring it up. Again, it's going to give me more space between lines. Okay. You don't want to go too far with it, but you want to make sure that your letters are not touching each other. If I pull this down, you'll see here where the letters are just about touching. It's going to really slow down how people read, and they're going to get confused and all that. So you want to have at least, a gap here. Typically, if you're 12, again, you're in that 13 to 14 point range. I'm going to push it to 15. So I have a little bit extra leading in there. Just going to lighten it up. Okay, I've got plenty of room to work with, but it's just going to kind of lighten the feel of the page up. Not so dense, right? The denser it is, the heavier, the more like, oh God, I got to read this. We've all been through that, right? I'm like, oh God, it's too big. I don't want to read that. Type of thing. I might put that just stack a little bit. That's nice. Now I got the title up here. Is it? Too many cues. Okay. Now I'm going to select my typeface for that, and we're going to go with Albino, and we're going to bump it up. Okay. Again, you can use the up arrow. You can type in a number. really your choice on this stuff. And again, I'm just going to open my box up a little bit. I'm going to make that a little bit bigger still. Okay. And I think I'm going to make that also white. I'm going to highlight that, give me a fill, make that white. Just want to kind of stand out. Again, once you get going and you start to work things, know that you're going to want to probably go to preview mode just so you can see things without all the boxes on it. Now I'm going to actually highlight just these here because I'm going to want that in white text also. I want that orange, it makes it kind of hard to read. Okay. And I'm going to go to preview just to take a look at things, see how they're lining up. Okay, not too bad. It feels pretty good here. Pictures there, maybe move this down a little bit. Kind of center that. Yeah, let me go back up. I'm going to make that box smaller. All right, because it's a separate box, I can do that. I don't like to typically give my boxes a fill like with the text. So if we had this text in black, okay. I don't like to typically fill my boxes. Okay, I could, I've got to select it and it says no fill, and you could give it a fill color. I don't do it because of how the text typically fits into that text box. Here you can see it looks like it goes out a little bit. It's just the way the typeface is looking. Also the bottom, the edges. You know, as you move the shape of the box, it makes it only on one side instead of the other. You can send, it just gets tough. So I typically will build up the boxes separate from the text. Okay, so that way I can kind of control how things are fitting on there. Okay, tip. And then we have it over here. Same typeface, we just went to black. Over here it's in white. We don't have page numbering, we'll do that later. And then on the sample or our inspiration, there's a little caption over here and a subhead. I'm just going to leave it as is here. Things I could do is I could add maybe a line, right? There's a line tool. So I could do something like a line that comes across, hold the shift as you draw, and that gets it to you straight. And I need to give it a color. We're going to go white, and then I can make that sizing. I can even pick what kind of line it is. Okay, obviously the heavier the line, the more these kind of special things show up. Okay, so you have these thick, thin, 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 those kind of. So they're kind of nice, just to kind of break things up. Ooh, the slash line, that looks nice. I like that. That's cool. And now I'm going to actually bring that up because it's white on white. Yeah, I can't really tell that it's cutting through or over. So it's kind of nice. I like how it's kind of interacting with that cue. Now we don't have the touch type tool in here like we had in InDesign. Let me just double check. No, they haven't added it yet. At some point they might. I wouldn't be surprised. We'd be able to kind of play with each letter individually. But yeah, you can at this point. You can select things and you can move them around. And so I could select this cue and I could, you know, give it a little bit more leading. I can kind of, you know, stretch it out a little bit, but I can't do anything near quite as much as I would in Illustrator. Okay, so if you need something special, that's kind of where you work up your titles, maybe in Illustrator and bring it in, and or Photoshop. Okay, so this is good for laying out bulk text, but if it's something really unique, you're going to want to build that up in one of those other two programs and then bring it into play here. Questions on this layout? Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah, it seems pretty versatile. So
okay. Anybody confused? Everybody's good. All right.
So
Yes.
with this sort of a tool at your disposal,
Mhm.
magazine designers must be able to crank these out like insanely fast and efficiently now, huh?
Yes and no. Yeah, it is way faster than, we'll just say, 50 years ago, 40 years ago. Okay. I mean, the advent of the computer and desktop publishing literally changed everything, because it used to be there was a lot of stuff done by hand and cutting and clipping, and it was nuts. So really, since we'll say the 90s, everybody's been on the computer doing this. So yes, but it's faster, but it's not. Does that make sense? You still got to do the work. You still got to take the time to prep, get things together and images together. And it's easier today than it ever has been, um, for what the programs will do for you. I mean, the program will tell you, hey, you got an error. It will collect the typefaces and the pictures. It'll do things it never used to do, and you used to have to manually do all those things. So it is better in that case. But and it's also better with the idea of style sheets. Okay, the master pages, so I can bring in things over time. I can make kind of like a template file. So when I do next month's magazine or next quarter's magazine, I've got stuff preset, and all I got to do is kind of drop it in and click and say, hey, make this X paragraph style. So yes, that sense has sped things up. Um, yeah, it is faster, but don't think it's like, trust me, it's the people who do this full time, that's their full time. I mean, it's not, everybody thinks, oh, I'm gonna, come in for 3 hours and I can sit there and have coffee. No, it's work. Um,
I mean, I suppose the more you're able to do, the more you have to do, right? Kind of thing.
yeah, yeah,
Like as the tools get bigger and better, so does the workload.
yeah. I mean, an example would be like, maybe 40 years ago, they didn't worry about hyphens as much. Now they're like, hey, get in there and get the hyphens cleaned up. Because you can, right? So I'm looking here to see if I have hyphens. Right, there's a hyphen here. So, the editor or the creative director, art director may go, hey, look, I don't like this word river hyphenate. So, or here, first line hyphenation. I don't want that, right? So you're going to have to get in there and manually kind of adjust things. And sometimes that adjusting is not just clicking, we call hard return, shift return. Sometimes you got to get in there and kind of let it out or track it out. So I'm going to show you this example. So I want to get rid of the word river, but I don't want to hit return. Okay, so if I hit return, I'll show you that's what it does, right? But I want to say I'm going to go rivers. I think I can get the word rivers. Well, that's going to be a tight one. Yosemite. I want to get this IT up, because if I hit return here, watch, it's going to give me a big gap, right? They've made all these big gaps in there, and I don't want that. So what I have to do is I actually have to physically select this line, and then I'm going to visually crank it up a little bit. What I'm doing is just minutely taking the words apart or spreading them out a little bit to hopefully push that over. And sometimes I'm gonna go here. I'm just gonna pick the space, and I'm just enlarging the space a little bit to push that over. I'm gonna see how far I can go before I get that to work. Okay, so you have to go through all of that, and all that stuff takes time to make those kind of adjustments, because you don't want a hyphen in there. Okay? You can tell
When
you
it
don't want
comes
hyphens, but that's a different story.
when
Okay.
it comes to our InDesign project, are you going to
Yeah.
be looking up for the hyphens like that?
No, I just want you to be able to use it. Does that make sense? No,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, obviously, I don't want you to have like huge gaps, but you can always do that, right? I can turn hyphenate off right here, and I got rid of them. But I get weird, what they call rivers, right? This is a river where you get these gaps between the words. Because I'm justified, I get these weird gaps. So what I can do is I can leave hyphenation on, or I can go to a rag like this where it's flush on the left but not the right, but then I get a kind of twisty rag, which is perfectly fine also, guys. Don't think it has to be justified. It's really your choice. And I still have hyphenations in here. So it's not like I got rid of my hyphenations by doing that. But if I select this paragraph again and turn off hyphenations, it doesn't look as bad, right? There's just sometimes there's just these big gaps, right? Like here, this setup. See, I could put words up here. I'm going to hit up here and hit returns, and I'm going to look and go, why did that get pushed back? Because I think I can kind of make that fit, right? So now I've got a couple extra words just by making a minute shift sometimes in the box. So yes, it's gotten easier, but it's also gotten harder because they're a little bit more picky, if that's what you want to call it, because they can, right? Because they can say, well, you can get in there, you can get rid of hyphens now, or adjust lines or spacing, where we didn't have that kind of control earlier in design. It should be white. So yeah, it's better, but it's also work. And no, I'm not. I just want you guys to be able to do this kind of stuff a layout. I'm not looking at the minutia of, you know, is everything hyphenated, or you might have some rivers or something. That's okay. I want you to do it the best you can. And ultimately, right now, we're just learning how to use this program. There are whole classes where you just spend the whole semester in InDesign, and you're doing layouts and you're doing things, and they're going to be much, much more stringent on you for those kind of things. Does that make sense? All right. So we've got this layout. Now we've got to do one more down here. And I've got this kind of like, there's like a, look here, I've got a couple little articles at the bottom. Again, it's still a 3-column spread. And again, I set this up initially as a 2-column, but again, I can kind of make these here. And the other thing too is, let me just build a text box. Okay, now, where did it go? I saw it yesterday. Hold on. Okay. So right now I am in the text box and it's one big frame. Let me just show you this here, zoom in a little bit. Okay. I can come in here and I can kind of break it up. Okay, so now it's into 3 frames of text and it will continue. So if I hit return, you'll see it's kind of filling in those 3 columns. Okay. So if I hadn't drawn my guides to get that way, InDesign now lets you do this kind of manually to bring that in. Okay. And let me just see. So this is the same article. Let me just get rid of this. Save the confusion. And I'm going to pull this down to here. I'm doing this just so I don't have a text box problem. It'll keep my text going. So I made this box one big box, but then I broke it into columns here on this text frame. So this is a kind of a newer addition that they've added to InDesign. I don't know if it was this edition or a couple of editions before, but I did notice that they had that, which kind of makes life easy. So instead of having to prearrange the text box, you can draw one big box and you can break it up. And likewise here, this is even the gutter. So I can make how big that gap is between it here, okay? To be what I want. Let me see what I have under options here. I have even more options up here that I'm able to get to, okay? So that's just under options over here. That pops up some more for spacing and balance columns. So I hit that. See if it's going to do that. Yep. See, look, it kind of evened them out. Just do this thing. It's so nice now. So you can see you can do that without too much problem, right? So we've got this 2 column, but let's say I want my text box to be smaller, I want to, right? It just made it into that. Now again, I have a weird gap up here. I'm going to just kind of hit the return. And then I'm going to do another text box over here. And I'm going to tell it to bring my story in. Ah, there's nothing there. I'm gonna duplicate some paragraphs so we have something that looks like it's over there. Okay. I'm going to select that column. I'm going to give it 2 columns again. I'm looking at my reference, right? And I can go, I don't want it so big. I want to make it a little bit smaller. Okay. And it's balancing them all out to be where I want it to be, which is kind of nice. I mean, this is like really nice to do. And it's not, let me just see if I select this under my options. Oops, cancel. Balance, I'm going to do that there. Okay, so that brings them back up, right? So it's kind of pushing it up and down to kind of give you equal. So they're one's not longer than the other. Okay, it's kind of balance, as I say, balancing it out. That's kind of nice. Okay, so that's a nice little tool to do. And then there's a bunch of photos in this. I know I have a pull quote. I'll put that up here. I want. So it's kind of, again, I'm just kind of looking at these, and I'm just going to put some pictures in. So I'm going to just kind of, I want a text box, a photo box here. And they have another one kind of horizontal. Again, do you want a gap or no gap between them? That's up to you. And this is where you kind of start to design as to, do I have gaps or no gaps? Do some pictures here. And I'm going to actually give it with, I don't want a gap. I'm just going to kind of put them in this way for now. Might even want to overlap. All right, so now it's just putting them in. Command D, going back to my photos. I'm just going to randomly pick photos. Command D or place. And again, you'll want to adjust your pictures to your frames. You know, how are they going to fit in there? So that's a horizontal, a vertical picture. So that's probably not great. I'm actually going to copy that picture. I'm going to paste it into this one. So if I click that, remember I do auto fit down here under fitting. As I make this larger, it's going to make that picture fit that. Okay, whatever kind of proportions I've set it to. Saves you a lot of time. Now this one, I'm going to replace the photos. I'm going to go Command D. I'm going to find a horizontal, vertical. And one more over here. So again, you'll want to get your images together, go through in Photoshop, make your adjustments, lightening, darkening. Again, if you have a raw file, you can make those adjustments there on that. Okay, so there we go. We've got this. I'm going to pull this down a little bit. And I'm going to get rid of that hyphen there. I don't like hyphens in something like a pull quote. I think we can do better. I'm going to just tighten that up there a little bit. You know what? I'm just going to go this way. So you get that weird gaps. So it was because of that return. I'm going to get rid of that return, and that brings it up here. But I am going to give it a little bit bigger leading. So it's a little bit larger gap between the two. And I can move that around. And I'm going to go to preview. And then I can start to kind of look at it and just see, do I like everything? Do I want to move things around? You know, like the background is so white. The sky became kind of bleached out. And this might even be something where I might even put a stroke on it, right, on the picture. Like one little 1-point stroke, if I choose to do so, just to kind of make it pop off. And that's okay too, right? If you want to put strokes or frames on your pictures, you can just kind of pick it, and then you can kind of, you know, give it the weight that you want. That's a 4. We'll go back over here. We'll make this a 4. Okay, just to kind of do that. And again, it doesn't need to be black. It could be colors. It could be whatever you want to do that. You know, you have those options. You do that on those. And so there's a lot that you can do with it. There's also what we have here under effects, drop shadow. So here, I'm going to go back here. I'm going to give it a stroke of none. Oops. I'm going to give it no color. But again, I want to pull it off. So I can maybe try the effects and maybe give it a drop shadow. And I'm just going to pull that up. And I'm going to kind of, let me see a preview. See, we got that drop shadow there. Well, what if I put my angle up here? And I can even drop the opacity a little bit. So now I don't have to do a frame, but I have it a shadow. Okay. And the cool thing is that shadow moves with the frame. So if this frame is on top, you'll see that drop shadow kind of gets into that next picture. Okay. So again, there's other things that you can do in order to make something work besides a shadow type of effect. Okay. All right. See. And let's see. Wait a second. I'm gonna. Oh, I was on the picture, not the frame. Okay, so I'm on the box, the image box now. So now I can turn that drop shadow on or off if I want to. Okay. So it was on the object, not the picture itself. Does that make sense? You can actually put a frame on the picture. If I double click, I get that yellow kind of handles. So we'll do that. You can see now we're on the picture itself with the effect. Okay. All right. Questions? So we're almost done. We've got the cover. We've got two-page. We have one article with a 4-page spread. Okay. And then we've got a second article with a 2-page spread. Okay. And then we're going to have the back cover. And I think I'm going to do the back cover as to one of those, like, you know, coming next issue kind of thing, or maybe I'll crop it up into some kind of little featurette, and then the coming next issue. I don't know. We'll play with that come next class. Okay. And then I'm going to go into the master pages for page numbering, that type of thing. Okay. And we'll do that for next class. But we're almost done. I'm almost ready to click save and turn it in. Questions? Yes, no, you know, good. So we got everybody. I think I've got everybody attendance wise. Questions before we're good for today?
Not for me.
Okay. Anybody? View it. All right. Means there is no questions. Work on the posters. Get those over to me. PDF. Work on the magazine. Okay, it's gonna be due Thursday a week. Okay, so we've got time. You can see it's not taking that long to do. It's just kind of sitting down. I know it's gonna take, most of you guys a little bit longer because you haven't used InDesign yet, or you're just starting to use it. So give yourself time to kind of work it out. And again, this is used for like everything you get printed, they're using InDesign. I'm like 99.9% sure. There might be some kind of crazy Microsoft Word program or something that somebody's using, but I can tell you that, if you're getting a catalog or a publication or anything like that, they are working it up in there. I mean, I got this from my American Express the other day, right? There's like this thing, obviously a lot of text that got dumped in there, and table of contents with pictures, and then there's things you can get with points. I don't think I had points for anything. I'm not the point guy. I know people that are like that, man. I know some dude, one of my old students, he does like all these airline points. It's got like his platinum level and does, I don't know. He actually takes trips just to get points. Meaning like he'll take a flight to, I don't know, Chicago, stay a night, and then come back because he wants to get points for stuff. I don't know. But that's his thing, and that's cool. Right? You get to see Chicago. So I guess there's worse hobbies.
Yeah, there's always worse.
Yeah. No, you can make up your own articles if you want. But I want real text. Does that make sense? I don't want just kind of gibberish. So if you don't want to write articles, or if you've got articles written, you can use those, or you can just kind of find them online. But again, pick subject matters that you like. Okay, don't, if you like surfing, do surfing, or if you like baseball, do baseball, or if you like cooking, do cooking. Pick things that you're into. You're going to find better pictures. You're going to spend a little bit extra time on it because it's more fun. It doesn't become work. Right. The last thing I want this thing to be is work. It is work, but your mind will get tricked out of it. It's like, oh, okay, this is kind of fun. Like I like dolphins, so this is going to be a cool magazine on dolphins, right? Or cats or dogs or whatever. As opposed to me dictating, hey, do a magazine on, artisan bread. And you're like, dude, what, yeah, it's kind of cool, but, I'm like, don't like bread, or I'm gluten-free or whatever type of thing. So, pick a subject matter that you like, something you're into. All right. Others, make it an article, because catalog are basically pictures and little words. That's like a pain. All right. So just kind of do like some chunks of text, and so you can put a lot of pictures in, that's fine, but just use big chunks of text. It'll make it easier for you, unless you have a specific need to design a catalog there, Nina, for some project or something. I'm trying to double dip. Okay, that's fine. I mean, you can, if you have another project that you want to double dip it off of, that's fine too. All right. Anything else? All right, guys. Have a good rest of the Tuesday. We'll see you Thursday. We'll finish up our little 4-pager then. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
One last thing
Yes.
before I leave, I make sure I can get the share screen on, because I have like some like problem when it comes to like a picture or pictures. So and that's that. Apparently, when it comes to the pictures I use, it just doesn't. It just feels like it's like pixelized and not like full high quality like I kind of wanted. So
share with me now. Look, remember, if it's showing up pixelized in InDesign, it may be just the settings of how you're viewing it.
All right, let me
So,
check.
yeah, sure. Let me take a look.
All right. All right, so this is how it looks. As you can see, it's like completely pixelized. I mean, you can still read it, but if you like
Yeah,
go before it, it's
you
still.
are in InDesign. Okay, so
Yeah.
do me this. Go
I
up to,
I got my paper. I'll write it down. That way I can memorize it. So what are you going to be exactly?
so click on the picture,
Uh-huh.
and you should get the little boxes going around it, right? So it's been selected. Just select the picture. You don't have to,
Okay, I selected it.
okay. Now go up to file. No, there. Yeah, display performance. Go down, keep going down. Down. One more. There you go. Go to high quality. Let's see if it changes it.
Thank you.
Boom, right?
Yeah.
So it's there. It was good. It's just the computer processing it. It slows it in order to do it. In order to process or work faster, it does that lower quality.
Oh my God.
So
Sorry.
you did it properly. Everything looks right. It's just InDesign trying to make it easier for the computer to work.
All right, now I get it. Thank
That
you.
was cool. That was good. That's a perfect example of how it does it.
Thank you. I mean,
Oh, no problem.
don't expect it to be perfect. That's for
No, no.
sure. But I will try it to be presentable. All right, I'll try it to be.
You're gonna be fine. From what I just saw on the cover, you're fine. Just work. Have fun with it.
Thank you.
I'm just trying to get you guys up to speed on the programs. I'm not looking for perfection.
All right, thank you.
All right,
Have
thank
a
you.
good day. I'll see you Thursday. Bye.
Okay, bye.